How did Tony change the way the hi-hat foot is used? Is that did he kind of
I'll let you.
The story that I heard, he might have even told me this story, was that Tony's early years with Miles, he wasn't using the hi-hat so much. And Miles said to him, come on, man, where's the hi-hat? Where's the hi-hat? And Tony decided, okay, I'll give you some hi-hat, and developed a style of playing the hi-hat that kind of revolutionized the approach to swing. Maybe you could correct me, but he's the first person that I ever heard successfully play the hi-hat on all four beats while swinging. There may have been some guys before that.
Yeah, I saw a couple guys.
Yeah. But he was the first guy that I knew of.
Yeah. I asked him about it, and he said I was sort of doing that anyway, but Miles made me do it. He said.
Okay. Yeah. See.
And I assumed that Miles might have made that request because Miles grew up with people playing four on the floor that had a constant thing going that you could hear the syncopation going against it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And actually, it got applied to not just swing. Cats started playing funk and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, maybe they might have done that kind of before sometimes in ways. But
no. I think it comes from Tony.
Yeah.
I think just doing that, it makes the quarter note eighth notes.
Yeah. Right. And what it did was, it allowed a reference point for what he said with the syncopations,
right,
or ground, or whatever.
Right. That's my suspicion.
Yeah.
I can't say I know that for sure.
Yeah.
He. See how you put this. Well, the quarter note becomes with the hi-hat.
It almost feels like an eighth note. Is that what you were saying, right?
That's exactly what I'm saying. So instead of you're saying. And I remember playing with Herbie, and Herbie came back from Chicago to make a record with Freddie and Joe. That's a good record. I can't think of the name of it now. But I asked him about Jack. I said, well, how was it, man? He said, it was great. He said, man, he said, Jack can play two tempos at once.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he was referring to. I feel that was what he was referring to.
Because Jack really supremely developed playing the hi-hat on every beat.
Right.
And be able to, have another brain departing from it,
Metric modulation. What does that mean to you in terms of Tony?
I don't know if Tony was as much metric modulation as he was polyrhythmic. What I understand metric modulation is when you kind of jump over the fence to another meter against your meter of point of departure. That's what I kind of associate metric modulation with. To me, I didn't think of Tony as metric. Well, sometimes, for example, footprints on Mouse Miles.
Exactly.
That is a true metric modulation. So that was part of Tony, but I really think of him more as polyrhythmic. I feel that maybe Tane really explored the actual straddling the other side of the fence of metric modulation more.
Well, I think Tony.
I think
Tony opened that door.
Oh, for sure.
because
for sure.
because
for
of,
sure.
of the other members of the band, Ron and Herbie.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
according to Herbie, that Tony turned him on to that.
To metric modulation.
Well, I call
or,
it metric because it's hard to say the difference between polyrhythm and metric modulation.
Yeah.
Because metric modulation is playing two different tempos or more, I guess. But I just think of two separate tempos. Well, there's two separate time signatures that makes two separate tempos. Like, so, it was in those days, it was just 3 against 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which Monk and those cats were already writing like that before drummers played like that.
Yeah.
Right? So Max comes along with 3/4 time, but it's 3/4 time. As when Elvin comes on the scene, it starts being that dotted quarter and an eighth, where instead of saying one.
Yeah. It becomes what they call a hemiola.
Right. Well, hemiola for me is another word for metric modulation. And that's not polyrhythm,
Yeah, I
Well,
would agree
but
with you. I would agree with you. But what I think of metric modulation is when you modulate to that meter being the basic in which you see everything else.
Right.
Because a lot of times, like the dotted quarter eighth note, still goes on with reference to 4.
Right.
For
sure.
Yeah. But to me, metric modulation is when the dotted eighth note becomes the new tempo.
Right. But it's on. But at least thinking about Tony and Miles, like when they do dee da 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 da, they come back to the original tempo. Right? They go do ding, do ding, do ding, 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 and that goes through the whole tune. Then they come back.
Right. That is a metric modulation. I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's that one. And footprints.
Yeah.
Same,
Right. And footprints was, I guess, my first
66.
awareness of what was a metric modulation.
Right.
The first time I had experienced somebody like switching it up like that. You know.
I kept the record on the turntable for a year.
Oh, me too, man. I used to call it. There were records we used to call the Bibles.
Right.
That was one of them. Four and More was another one.
Right.
Love Supreme was another one.
Oh, for sure. But Jones had a lot to do with it too. Well, John.
Yeah.
Because of the dotted quarter for what's the tune? My Favorite Things.
Right.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is there an aspect to metric modulation that's kind of magical, like in terms of making something that seems like it sounds one way, but it's many other ways, or is it?
Well, it is now.
It's like shape shifting in a sense.
Yeah. What I like to call it is, when a car's wheel rim are mags, and it starts going, the car, starts rolling, and as it gets faster, all of a sudden the mags look like they start going backwards.
Right.
That's what I call, metric,
Right.
because it puts you out into a little spin that's out of control.
Right. Jones. And you mentioned somebody else too. I think it was you that mentioned it. Didn't you just mention Ari Hernick's name?
Yeah.
He's deep into it.
He is.
Him and Dan Weiss and those guys. Yeah. But if you're doing this, and it becomes this, because the ding, 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 ding becomes that, becomes one. That's two different things. And the 4 part has all of the tradition that the 4 part has gone. So you can go all the way back to Louis Armstrong
Yeah.
with the 4 part,
Yeah.
and then come back to this other thing. Well, and then there's Max too. Max is the first one to play in 3, unless you heard somebody.
No.
So 3-3,
3/4 time.
3-4.
Yeah.
And is that
That's
kind
waltz.
of where
That's
waltz.
waltz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, waltz 3/4 time is.
Boom, pop, pop, boom, pop, pop, boom, pop, pop.
And then when it became the dotted quarter, it becomes.
That's the jazz lean on it.
Yeah.
Or the African lean on
Right,
it, really.
right. Well,
You
that
know,
opens
to
a
go all
whole
the
nother
way-
door.
Yeah.
And then when you start talking about Africa, that's when all of that magic's. But you got these young guys now that are really studying that. You know, VJ Iyer and a lot of those guys. They do what you say. In other words, okay, so if you can say. What happens if you double that? Or
Would you? Yeah, right. I could do one,
right.
see? Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And so these cats are doing that now,
Yeah.
you know. Tony wrote
Yeah.
music for a chamber orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
for me
Tony,
is a
Tony
tragedy.
really, Tony had really gotten his foot into writing for large ensembles. You know.
That's the tragedy for me, that he died like that, because he was getting ready to go. He was, he was getting ready to go beyond the drums. You know,
To add that to his arsenal.
Have you heard that record?
like Wilderness?
Wilderness. I mean, that was just the beginning. If that was the beginning, can you imagine where he would be now? You know. No, he said that when he joined in Miles's band, everybody else had been to school. He said he didn't even finish high school.
Mm-hmm.
He said he felt that, that he wanted to, it was hard for him to keep up with them socially, because, they all, had another level.
Yeah. And along with being a little older too.
Right.
Period. Right. You
Right.
know.
Right. So he started studying composition then. Because when he gets to quintet, he comes back from the straight eighths and just starts writing.
Right.
So that's to write, to compose, with Wallace and
Wallace
Pierce.
and Pierce.
Yeah.
Mulgrew, bless his soul.
Oh, man, Mulgrew. Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
It was because of tequila how I met Tony for the first time. Okay, Tony had a girlfriend. Her name was Tequila Logan. She's the singer on Tony's Old Bums Rush record. Remember that record?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, now, she was a waitress at the Village Vanguard. And she used to sometimes sit in with Thad and Mel on Monday nights, singing and stuff. Good singer, So I'm playing the Village Vanguard my first time in life,
With who?
Joe Farrell, called my boys back in Nebraska and told them about it, right?
Right.
Guess what I'm playing?
Yeah,
little puppy dog voice.
Yeah.
I'm playing Village Vanguard. And so, Tuesday through Sunday, Wednesday, Tequila comes and introduces herself to me, and she says, "You sound pretty good." I said, well, thank you. She says, I'm going to tell my boyfriend about you.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's nice. Not thinking anything of him. So someone said, well, who's your boyfriend? And she tells me her boyfriend is Tony Williams, right? Right. And then I put 2 and 2 together. This is the tequila from the record.
Right, right.
You know, so that was Wednesday. Sunday night, I'd kind of forgotten about it, and it's like the last set on Sunday night. We're playing Captain Marvel, you know, and Joe Farrell from his Latin band days, you know, used to play a little novice, you know,
Right,
cowbell,
right.
you know, during the guitar solo. It was a guitar, I mean, it's a quartet, saxophone, guitar, bass, and drums. And so I got my eyes closed, you know, trying to do my best playing this samba, Captain Marvel, and all of a sudden I hear like this unbelievable killing cowbell kick in. And like I still got my eyes closed, and I'm thinking, I'm saying, I know that ain't Joe.
Yeah.
I know it ain't Joe. So I like turn and open my eyes, and it was Tony on me like this.
Yeah.
And you know, I tried real hard to keep my grip.
Yeah,
Finish the set.
right.
You know, and that started my friendship with Tony. You know, he was very supportive and let me see your take on this. You know, for as monumental and as innovative, you know, and large as Tony was, I thought that he was a pretty humble cat.
Oh yeah.
You know within all that. You know, I've seen guys that don't have a piece of Tony's claim to fame, who feel that they're bigger than life. You know, but that really impressed me about Tony. He was just a serious cat who was just trying to get to some music. You know.
Right.
You know, no pretense. You know, at least not to me.
But he didn't like people that were half stepping. I mean, you know, you had to be serious about the music.
Oh yeah.
You had to be serious. You want to go first?
You go first.
Well, that's a good question because I agreed so much with some of the things he did. It was almost like he wasn't really changing me. I remember me telling him, I said, man, I knew about you before you moved to New York because Jimmy Cobb told me about you. And he said, you know, Jimmy Cobb told me about you too. And I said, well, I really like the way you play, and I'm gonna play some of that stuff. And he said, I like the way you play too. He said, not only I like it, he said, but I'm going to record it.
I can understand that for sure.
Well, but I didn't then. So now that you asked the question, it just seems like because I feel or I felt like I understood it so well, a lot of the way he plays and his vocabulary, I've adopted it. It's almost like, until you mentioned it, I thought it was mine. But I do play, even if it's my own way, it's his.
More than it's Max's or more than
Oh
it's
yeah,
JoJo's?
yeah, for sure.
Is that because it's more modern, it's more contemporary, it's more you identify with it more?
Yeah, but I also could see where it came from Max in the first place, or Elvin, or like he had this thing with triplets, right? You know, he would play, you know.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So to learn how to do that, I ended up doing it like this. And that's the solo that I play on Sleeping Giant.
Sleeping Giant. I knew you was gonna say that. I listened to the Dookie out of that one too.
Oops.
Yes, it did. I know what you.
But that's,
to quote yourself.
Well, that's Tony. You know, what I mean, I never heard him do it like that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is really, after a while, I realized it's abacoa. It's Cuban. It's abacoa. And and then I got turned on to Dudu Ndaye Rose. You familiar with him? The African percussionist from Senegal. Anyway, he had a troupe of 60 drummers. And I heard the troupe doing that.
Oh, okay, okay.
But that was way after I recorded it. So I don't know, maybe Tony got it from that, or maybe it's so African.
Or maybe they got it from you. No.